Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a little bit after 5 here Pacific time, and Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. The world is running amok, and I don't know, maybe we could do something about it. I say we gather around the radio, gather around your phone, gather around your computer, your widget that projects information, whatever it is that we can gather around, and let's talk about it. This is a little thing that we like to call a cup of Joe. Today I'm having a cup of iced Joe, as it's been 100 degrees or around thereabouts for the last week or two. And it'll be that way for the next couple of months around here. This is a podcast that is put on by me, Joe, and the Human Solution International, a 501c3 federally recognized civil rights organization that was originally formed in support of cannabis defendants and the cases that they were fighting, and has since evolved to be a full-fledged civil rights organization that is about much more than just ending prohibition, but certainly is about ending prohibition. And many members of the organization are part of the show. We have Mary, who is our primary screener. She's a board member, an ex-defendant, part of the NorCal chapter. And we have Becca, who's our treasurer, also a board member, and she's our backup screener, sometimes our first-step screener. And she does much more than that. She's kind of behind the scenes of just about everything we do. We have Lisa Wildridge, our vice president, who has been doing the filming of the Facebook feed. So when you're listening to this show, there's a lot of ways you could do it, and you probably see it on Facebook because that's the one that gets the most, exposure, I suppose. But the phone number that's posted on there, 646-929-2495, you can actually call in and you can listen right from your phone. Or if you call in and you talk to our screener and say, hey, I got something to say. Or if you're listening in whatever way you are and you're listening to a guest have something to say and you decide you want to add a comment to that, or you decided that there's something you want to just share with this audience, you can hang up, call back, and again, tell the screener what you want to do. I really want this show to be a portal for people who have a message, something that they want to share. I invite people all the time to come on the show and share your story. I especially invite people that disagree with me. I very seldom have them actually come on the air, but I invite them all the time. Anybody who knows me and has known me for a long time, I've spent a lot of time over the years on social media, but in the last couple of years, I've really pulled away from it. Not saying it doesn't have a value, not saying there's not a good reason that people do go on there. I just have kind of had an ass full of it and get tired of the people that seem to enjoy causing troubles and really not wanting to do anything to help. And I only have so many minutes left on this planet to live, and I've decided that I want to make the most of them. So when we do this show, we're putting it out on all these different mediums. It's on YouTube, and I have a feed that I'm actually looking at right now on YouTube, and I can answer people if they have something to say. The Facebook feed I don't see until after the show's over. So if you're commenting on the Facebook feed and want to talk to me, you got to call in. That's the only way I'm going to hear what you have to say. Now, I generally go back afterward and look at all the comments and try to participate. And a lot of times I'll invite you to come on the show. A lot of people have snarky ass things to say, or they have accusations to make, or they want to say something that's in stark contrast to an opinion that I have, that I voice on the air. And I just realized this. I'm not going to ever get into a Facebook pissing contest with you. I will not do it. But I will invite you to come on the show live and have a conversation with a real person that you can look in my eyes, and we can have inflection, and we can have enunciation, and we can actually exchange words together. I think it's a better form of communication than clacking away on the keyboard. So just realize that's the way I run this show. I know there's a lot of podcasts being done right now, and I hear a lot of people saying I'm going to put up a radio show, and I think that's a great idea. And if you do, invite me. I'll come on your show and be a guest. But I think that as long as we have these shows that are out there and people are putting a lot of time in to producing them and to being there week after week to get a message out and to be a voice to people who need to reach a lot of people. We use this to organize support for defendants that are fighting their cases. We do this to bring attention to events that are happening. We do this to showcase just about anything that we find important. And the reach is growing. Some weeks we have a few thousand people. Some weeks we have a lot of thousand people. And they're all over the country and in other countries. And I think that we've turned this show in particular into a great thing. And now that we've kind of connected it with a few other podcasts, that we're sort of swapping around guests and cross-pollinating our audiences, I think it's becoming more effective. And anybody who knows me knows that that's what this is about. Let's be effective. Anybody can have an opinion. Anybody can go blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like that. I tell my wife all the time, that's the easiest thing in the world is to complain about something. You know what's the hard part? Let's fix it. Let's get together and make it better. That's what I'm saying. That's what this is about. So we're going to talk about some things, ideas that I have, that we have as an organization. And if you've listened anytime recently, you'll know that one of the biggest things I have been attempting to do and working at and doing is bringing people together. The key in this world right now of polarization and division, remember, united we stand, divided we fall. Divided we are falling. Look at our country. Look at the world. All these divisions, them against them, against them, against them, against us, against them, against them. And what happens? Just a bunch of war, just a bunch of fighting. Anybody ever win, really? I don't see it. But I think if we can bring people together, if we can find a way to unite, our cause with others' causes, and find a way to get this language to where the thing that I'm supporting is the thing that you're supporting. And we find a way to make it work. Find a way to say your group is doing what my group's doing, so why don't we do it together? You know, if it's all about credit, great, take the credit. I don't care. You know, if credit is your thing, take all you want. I would rather accomplish something and look back and smile and say, look, my grandkids, look what we did for you. Look what we did for you. That's what this is about for me. There's room in this arena for everybody. And I'm working right now with leaders of a number of different organizations. And they're not just all pot groups. Some of them are. But I'm working with veterans groups. I'm working with Native American groups, disabled folks. I'm working with a bunch of different, anything that has to do with the civil rights as being an important part of why they're there and what they're there to accomplish. We're there. That's what we want to do. So let's get together. Let's find a way to connect our causes so that we can stand together as one. And reach out to our enemies and make them to be not our enemies anymore. Don't you think that's a better idea than out there just raising our fist and bitching? Because we do that a lot. I hear that all the time. And inside my own choir and outside in the streets, I hear everybody just going, rin, 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 rin. I'm upset. Well, that's the easy part, folks. And a lot of you are doing a great job at that. And hey, it's part. We've got to point out the problems. But when it comes down to let's fix this, that's when it starts getting tough. Because number one, we got to come up with something that works and can work. And number two, we got to find a way to do it. We got to make a plan. And a plan, to me, is generally more than just some Facebook call to action, which isn't necessarily not a good thing. But generally, it's not going to be enough. We need more than that. We need to actually get together and accomplish something. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about getting together, working together, finding ways that we can share our resources, that we can ultimately fight to protect, preserve, and gain the civil rights that every single one of us deserves and has a right to. It's the whole idea of being rights, is they're ours. Okay? And you know what? I want to address something. First, we're going to go. We got Grayson Gaunt from Florida, and we're going to bring him up first because he's got a sense of immediacy to it. We got Pete Yapel from New York. We got Dina Bland. And I want to remember and remind everybody that last week we got cut off unexpectedly. Everything shut off. My internet turned off. And all of these things happened at once. And I had a whole bunch of guests that I wanted to get to. My policy with this show is if you call in and you have something you want to say, I will make time for you. The show goes from 5 to 6 Pacific time, but many, many times we go long. And I'll go as long as we need to accomplish what we need to accomplish. I've never shut the show off early, but a couple of times it's been cut off. So last week we got cut off unexpectedly, and there were a number of guests that we were not able to get to. If you are one of those guests that weren't able to be gotten to, please call in today, 646-929-2495. And if you know of anybody who was on the line last week when we got cut off and you know how to reach them, please do that. I'd like to hear what you have to say. And I want to address, Mike made a post on the YouTube feed. He gets upset sometimes when people just talk shit on Facebook and they don't do anything else. And he engages them. And you know what? Trust me, I've engaged plenty of folks over the years. And though I say I don't get into a pissing contest, I have jumped into the arena for a moment or two just because those of us that are actually working hard to accomplish something, and we know what it is to actually get out there and do, to leave your house, to leave your room, to get in your vehicle or get in somebody's vehicle and go somewhere and actually do something and take an effort picking up that phone and making a phone call, picking up your paper and writing a letter, typing out an email that actually goes somewhere with a purpose, doing something other than just whining and bitching on social media. And then you see the people whining and bitching on social media as though that's a thing. I understand. I can't understand more. Trust me. That's one of the reasons that I've pulled myself away from social media as a rule. Although, again, I think it's got a value. So let's find a way to do the best thing we can. And, you know, sometimes it means holding back. Sometimes it means jumping in all the way. Either way, if you're doing something and you care about making a change in the world to make this world better, hopefully you consider me an ally, because that's what this is all about. So we're going to start out with Grayson from Florida, and he's got a story about a defendant, a brother in Georgia. Let's see what's going on. Maybe we can organize some support. Grayson, welcome to the show. This is Joe. You're live on the air.
Yeah, so my brother was pulled over about a year and a half ago in Douglasville, Georgia, and they've been holding him for about a year and a half. He had his arraignment, and they picked him up with 50 pounds of marijuana.
Okay.
And he had his arraignment. He didn't go to his arraignment, and I'm wondering what any action steps would be to shift the burden of proof onto them or question jurisdiction.
So he didn't go to his arraignment?
I believe they did formally charge him with something, which is what the arraignment is, and he did not attend because his lawyer told him that he didn't need to attend. So he's still incarcerated. He just didn't go to the hearing or whatever it was where they told him what evidence they did or didn't have.
So usually within a year and a half, something more has happened beyond just an arraignment. And so do you have access to his, does he have an attorney? Does he have a public defender? What's the deal?
He has an attorney, and his attorney has actually stated that he's no longer interested in representing my brother, and that it's okay if we seek other legal counsel.
But he hasn't.
He has an attorney.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that he has an attorney that doesn't want to take the case.
Or an attorney that doesn't want to put any due diligence in whatsoever, pretty much, yeah.
So do you have the access to find another attorney? Because frankly, what we would need to do to be helpful, certainly we can reach out to your brother if you want to get off on. When you get off the line, stay on the line, and our screener will come back and get the contact information for your brother, or I can give you a number that your brother can call me. If you want to do that, I'd like to get more information about the case, because it just seems like a year and a half in custody without anything happening besides an arraignment. It just seems like there must be a record of this court proceedings, because something's not right. There's something that doesn't sound right with that. I've spent a lot of time in a lot of courts, and generally there's a progression of time that happens. So there must have been some kind of continuances filed, or something must have been filed along the way.
I was pretty much thinking along the lines of his Sixth Amendment right to confront his accuser, so purpose, and also his Sixth Amendment right to a speedy trial.
Well, that's just it. There's due process rules with court, and if the due process isn't being followed, then there's generally action that can be taken. But we have to establish what's actually happened. A lot of times people tell me half of a case, and then by the time it all comes to light, I see there was more that had happened that I didn't hear about. And again, I'm more than glad to look at what this is, but I need to see some court records or something that there's got to be a timeline of what has happened, what hasn't happened. And do you have another attorney that you could hire? Is that a possible, way forward?
We don't have any other attorney in mind.
Well, you're in Georgia, right? This case is in Georgia. So
the case is in Georgia.
So we do.
Drive over.
Yeah, we do have some people in Georgia that are working there and are connected to some advocates and activists out there. What I'd like to do is, again, if you have any way, is there a current court date set? Is there a date that's been set already?
No.
So there's no current date. He's just being held. He's just being held in custody without bond indefinitely.
Yeah, it's almost like some Patriot Act thing. Like they think they can just hold him without cause.
Okay. Well, here I got Craig Cecil calling in from federal prison right now. He's serving a life sentence, and what I'd like you to do is stay on the line, and our screener is gonna get your information, and I'd like to talk to your brother and see what I can do. But I've got to bring Craig up. So stay on the line, and Mary will get your information, and I will contact you outside of the show.
Okay, yeah, anything I can do to help my brother.
All right, thank you. We're here to help. All right, hey Craig, how's it going?
Okay, all right.
Hello, Joe.
How are you doing, man?
Off of lockdown and touch base with you here by phone.
Yeah, it's been a while. What happened? It's been like 3 weeks we haven't heard from you.
Yes, we've had 2 1-week lockdowns. Really not so much because it was any kind of gang fight or anything. We just have a new warden who is trying to assert himself. So he gets angry, we get locked down. And last week, you might have heard the news in the general media that in December and January they're going to kill 5 of the inmates here.
Yeah, I heard that. That's crazy. I heard there hasn't been a federal execution in a long time. Then all of a sudden, we decided to reverse all that. That's wild.
I'm wondering if they're trying to send a message because there's 62 inmates on death row, and the 5 that they've chosen aren't the 5 that have been there the longest, or are the oldest in age or anything like that. It just happens to be that this 5 are murderers that kill children. I mean, I think what they're looking for is they're looking for vindication for killing people. You know what I mean? Where it really can't be considered questionable as to, the egregiousness of what they did. So I think they're, on one hand, trying to show that they're tough on crime and executing people, but on the other, they're searching for people where it's hard for people to be angry and to hear that they've been put to death.
Yeah, I understand, and I haven't done deep research myself, but I understand from some good sources that the ones that they picked are actually people that, if anybody deserves it, they're in that list of people that probably have it coming. I'm not here to judge any of that. I'm not even here to voice my opinion on the death penalty, but trust me, I have one. But it is interesting to see how the government's flexing its muscle and its opinion in various different ways. But you know what really gets me even worse is a warden that just decides to lock his shit down, for a week at a time in the middle of summer in a place that is, a hellhole already. It just almost seems like he's trying to light up a bomb. I mean, you think to yourself, there was a big old riot in a prison, a couple of big riots in the last couple of weeks. One in Brazil, a lot of people died, and then one somewhere in the U.S. too. And when you have a place that's already volatile and already a hostile place, and you have people that are already stretched to their, probably their last string, their last nerve, and then you go and you take away the one little thing they had. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a bright move on my end.
That was kind of a question I had as I was stuck in my cell, which only measures about 60 by 13 feet. That there's two of us in there, including a sink, a toilet, a bunk bed, and us. And we were stuck in there without ventilation. It was 90 degrees out, or in the 90s, and close to 100% humidity, with no air conditioning, no ventilation. And I'm wondering, this was over, an event where one person got beat up. I mean, not seriously. They didn't require hospitalization or anything like that. And I'm wondering why is the administration trying to antagonize the inmates? And then at the end of when the inmates are allowed to come out, they reduced our ability to buy things at the commissary to prepare for the next lockdown. They made it so we can only spend $25, which when they feed you very little every day during the lockdown, you get one turkey sandwich, and that's it. That's your meal often 3 times a day.
Wow.
And it doesn't go very far. So you need to buy, whatever they sell at the prison commissary to get through these lockdowns. And now they've severely hampered what we're allowed to buy over there. And, I mean, it's a two-edged sword, and you kind of wonder, what are they really trying to accomplish?
Yeah, it just seems counterintuitive. Well, I've got a question I want to ask you. I know we only have 15 minutes to talk, and we've probably burned half of it up. But I have a number of people that are working as advocates for inmates in various places, and some of them are in state cases, some are in federal cases, and they're advocating for people to call the prison for various reasons. And in some cases, it seems like it's a good idea, and we've done it on your behalf numerous times, but we did it specifically because you asked for it. And we talked about what could happen as they could come back and give you grief over it, or we might get something done. And I think it's happened both ways as we've done it over the years. But what is your thought if somebody that's advocating for somebody, maybe it's a relative, maybe it's their child, maybe it's a friend or somebody they don't know, and they're advocating for people to call the prison to check on this person by name, or voice an opinion. What is your thought? Is that a good idea or not, if the inmate themselves hasn't specifically asked for it?
I would say overall it's a good idea. The reason being is twofold. Now, sometimes the prison doesn't like it when a prisoner gets their way. I'm getting a little bit of that now as you...
This call is from a federal prison.
I'm waging a fight about, against the rule that diabetics aren't allowed to go to the law library. And some of the staff are pretty unhappy about it because the upper echelon is come to my rescue. But overall, the number one thing that prison staff enjoy is nobody comes and inspects them. There's no building inspectors that come in and make sure that our buildings are safe. There's nobody that comes and inspects the safety of our food. There's nobody that inspects how, the medical people treat us. That's their number one defense, is nobody is looking over their shoulder as to what they do, and they're used to getting away with anything. So now, if they find out that a particular inmate has people on the outside that, number one, know about what's happening to them, and number two, are willing to speak up either to the prison or elsewhere, that is the worst thing that happens to them. And it, very commonly, that is the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. That's the person that will get help in the matter that he needs help in. Because that's the number one fear that they have, that something will happen and an outside agency will come in and look at what they're doing.
Interesting. Okay, well then I'm going to officially advocate based off of your your opinion that when we see people asking for others to call into a prison on behalf of an inmate, you know what? Jump in and do it. I have no issue with it. I just always, for me, it's about if the inmate themselves wants it. And, if somebody's advocating on somebody else's behalf and it ends up getting them locked up in the shoe, and they, aren't prepared for that or don't deal with that well, that would be my one reason for saying, you might want to pay attention. But frankly, I respect your opinion about this more than just about anybody else's. So I'm on the record advocating that if somebody is reaching out and saying, let's give the prison a call, please get behind that and let's give the prison a call. And if they don't answer, keep calling them. They'll pick up sooner or later. And who knows, you're adding a little grease to that squeaky wheel, and maybe something will actually get done. I appreciate that, Craig. That's been kind of weighing on my mind a little bit, and haven't been able to talk to you for the last couple of weeks.
Yes, prison officials are very sensitive to retaliation. Also, what they don't want is outside people, to also report that they were put in the shoe or they were subjected to this, that, or the next thing, or retaliation about complaining about, or having outside people complain about the way they were treated. So, very, very seldom do staff retaliate, when somebody gets outside assistance, because they know that that's the person that, is going to get support. That's the person whose friends or family may email the congressman, and that's the worst thing that happens, at least to a federal prison, is that they get an inquiry from a House of Representatives member or the staff of a senator that asks the warden, hey, what's going on with this inmate? This is the report I got. They flip over that. There's tons of forms for that, and that very much gets their attention.
Okay.
But like I say, and the last thing that they want to have reported to that senator is that they retaliated against the inmate due to the contact from the senator.
Well, I think that's fantastic, and I you know what? I'm here to be effective, and if making those calls are effective, like I say, when an inmate specifically asks for something, whatever it is, I don't even care if I agree with it or not. We'll do what that inmate asks. But in this case, I now have a better view of the situation. Now, we've been following and supporting a state inmate by the name of Michael Thompson from Michigan. And I don't know if you've heard anything about his case or not, but it looks like the end of August, a ruling's going to come down where they're possibly going to remove his habitual offender status off of his case and reevaluate his sentence. And if that happens, it's a good chance that he's going to go free. And, he's already served a lot of years, and he's likely to die in there if he doesn't have a so-called life sentence, but he's got a 30 to 60 year sentence, and he's 60 years old. And it's a de facto life sentence that he's serving right now in state prison in Michigan, where they have a law that currently allows for both medical and recreational use of cannabis, the same thing that he's locked up for.
Yes, and that gets the attention of both his prosecutor and his court, if that's where the fight is, because, again, courts don't have a whole lot of oversight. Nobody goes into the courts and says, is the prosecutor acting ethically? Did his defense attorney really perform up to the standards that a defense attorney should perform up to? But again, when both of the lawyers and the judge know that people are looking over their shoulder, I think it helps to keep things a lot more above board. And I think that generally, and I'm sure in his situation, being true and honest to the law would probably be the best thing for him.
Well, what's interesting is the judge and the prosecutor that were involved in this case were both adamantly against him and biased against him. But the one judge, I believe either they retired or died. I forget the story. I get so many things crisscrossed in my head, but both the prosecutor and the judge are no longer the same ones involved. And so we have a new judge. There's a new governor in the state, and there's a lot of things that have changed to where it's actually being looked at possibly with some fairness. So that's super exciting. Next thing I want to bring up, Craig, is when we last talked, I told you we're beginning to organize a march across America. And this is a civil rights march, and it's more than just about ending cannabis prohibition, but it's about making fundamental change in America, protecting and preserving the rights that we're supposed to have, and that includes veterans' rights, disabled rights, Native American rights, criminal justice reform, and all sorts of things. So I would like, if you can, to think about some specific messaging that can help as we're in the initial stages of this. I want to get our message clear and united with all these different civil rights groups.
I will definitely do that. The first thing that jumped in my head is Americans should be allowed to grow and eat whatever they want, including marijuana. So, I mean, that just seems like such a fundamental right that, the government shouldn't meddle with.
Absolutely right. And that's certainly a big part of what we're trying to accomplish.
And again,
there it goes. Sorry, I apologize. I kept yapping when I should have given Craig the last words. It's rough, I haven't talked to Craig in I think this is 3 weeks, and I had a lot I wanted to talk to him about. Generally, he calls, and we're able to get all of our thoughts out, and had a bunch of things I wanted to bring up, and usually I try to give him, once his first beep comes, the last word so he can finish his thoughts, and doesn't always happen. And that's what happens when we're dealing with people that are locked up. Things that we take for granted, like being able to talk on the phone as long as you want, like being able to communicate with people as you see fit. Those things are not reality when somebody's locked up. They're just not. So when we're thinking and talking about what we're doing, not doing, gonna do, not gonna do, just remember there's people that are locked up and they don't get to do any of these things that we're thinking about doing. And we could be part of that change. So anyways, I'm encouraging y'all to participate. We got a lot of people stacking up to talk, and let's just go in order of that they called in. So we got Pete Yapel up first. We got Dana Bland. We got Glenn Keeling, Bob and Colleen, and Tom Corby on the line. And remember, there was a few people last week that weren't able to make it all the way through because we got cut off. If you're able to call back in, please do. I'd like to hear what you have to say. And let's get started. We got Pete Yapel. Now, Pete is a regular on the show. He also has a show of his own. And he's also a chapter coordinator from New York. And his chapter is called Solidarity Over Separation. And Pete and his wife, Ellen, are actually the ones that began this project of this walk across America. And Pete was fighting health issues and was talking about going to walk across America. Well, he couldn't get out of bed. And so, I don't know, I finally got inspired, and I decided, you know what, let's take this thing and run with it and turn it into what it could be and what it should be. So let's see what Pete's got to say, and probably Helen's there with him, and we'll go on from there. Pete, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Well, Joe, I'm doing all right, thanks. And you're right. I get to that line from the bed, probably not being able to walk by, but I totally got my ass up and done it because that's what we do. And we got to keep doing. Just a couple quick notes, man, from this week. We sort of had a great show last night. We had Jeff Aiken on, He did a follow-up after seeing, Michael and the round table with Glenn and them. And then we had a lady, Ilka Poundstein. She's a naturalist.
Hey, Pete.
Just like whole birds and all
Pete.
natural birds. Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on hold for a second. I got George Martirano on the line, and he needs to talk right away because his daughter's going to the hospital. So just want to give him the floor, and then I'll bring you guys.
I'll always wait for George.
I'll bring you guys right back. All right, folks. This is George Martirano, longtime friend of the show, member of the Human Solution, ex-POW, served 32 years in federal prison for pot. And he's a dear friend and an ally. George, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, Joe, I'm sorry. I wanted to, I would have waited patiently to come on because it's the highlight of my week to show you and Lucia's show. But I just had dinner with this major person in entertainment. She wants to do a whole thing about me. And while I'm sitting there, I get a call from my daughter that she's very ill. She wants to go to the hospital. And she hasn't been feeling good, so I just wanted to come on to the show. And my message is tonight, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to family, loved ones, you have to put aside. I just left a big meeting concerning a movie deal, but it's not about me. It's about helping others, especially your loved ones. I wanted to share that with everyone, and thank God for this show that I can get the message out like that. I'm sorry I got to run, Joe, but love everybody. Love my West Coast family. Please take care.
Well, give your daughter a hug for me and my family, and we'll say a prayer for her. And you're reaching a big audience. There will be a lot of prayers lifted up, and good thoughts. So hopefully she's going to be just fine in a real short period of time.
All right, Joe, I'll call you. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know. Give you an update.
All right, thanks, George. All right, George Martirano, folks. And George has been a part of this show and a part of our life for a long time. I met George, probably 6 years ago, maybe longer. I lose track of time. And I met George when he was in federal prison, just like Craig Cecil, serving life and didn't have any way out. And I told him back then when I first met him, I said, George, you're going to get out. We're going to, one way or another, this is going to happen. And, we used to talk on the phone pretty regularly. He was an avid writer, and, he would send me things that he wrote and poems and stories and all kinds of things. And we talk on the phone from time to time. And then one day he told me the good news. He found his way out. And he didn't get lucky. He didn't get pardoned by Obama. He didn't get anything. He fought every day. He went down every possible avenue. He just kept going, kept his attitude positive. He was always focused on what can I do, not bitch, whine, bitch, moan, but what can I do? And he was a proactive, positive individual, and it's him and a whole team of people that was around him, not because he's an asshole and a bitter, angry man, but because he's a good and positive and kind and loving man. And since he's been out, he's getting his feet up on, getting some business going, and he's got such an amazing story. And I'm excited to see that, some people are wanting to showcase his story. I tell you, it'll be quite a piece of work if they do a good job. I've heard plenty of his stories, and the man has led quite an interesting life. All right, we're going to go back to Pete and Helen, and let's see what's going on. All right, here we go. Pete, Helen, welcome back to the show.
Well, hey, listen, we'll always sit down and listen to George. I mean, we care for him and think just as highly as you do of him, and have the pleasure to sit with him. So we'll always take a backseat to that. But like I said, we had a great weekend next week on Tuesday night, guys. Where we're going to have Jennifer Hess, whose husband died. It's a big thing in Kansas going on. There's been big articles about it. This poor woman's husband died, and it's all about cannabis. All involves cannabis. It's very sad. We'll let that story unfold. It's all over Facebook right now. But
You know,
next week, and then,
I've got Jennifer on the line right now. Jennifer's actually going to come up right after you. She just called in. So, yeah. So
fantastic. So we're glad to have her on our show next week as well. And then Helen got asked to speak at a convention about DUI and cannabis patients. She's going to go speak on a panel in Philadelphia October 12th. She's been invited to talk there, and I'm the keynote speaker this Saturday for the Putnam County Libertarian Convention. So we're doing all we can to get people involved and organizations involved to understand the importance of this walk, to understand that, listen, what finally happened, and I guess what finally has happened with me is I just got sick and tired of doing, and we're still spinning wheels, and we all try new things, and, it's been beautiful, expanding the TV and getting a different audience and gathering people and getting the messaging further and being able to spread and the word and get support. But nothing's really fit. Nothing's really taken bite. And this walk encompasses and involves every human being of every skin color, sexual orientation, you name it. It doesn't matter. It involves and affects everyone that stands and lands feet on this ground. It affects every one of us every single day, that our civil liberties are truly being taken and exempt from us. So much so that we're not teaching our kids to read cursive writing, so they can't even read their very own Constitution. Which, let's face it, the 10 First Amendments really stand with any kind of hold any longer, because of all the preceding ones we've allowed our government to add to give them control rather than to continue to have us, the people, we the people, making the decisions in this country. Now, it's absolute time that we stand up for the rights of everyone. And if you can't get involved in it, and you don't want to get involved in it, then I guess you're just happy with the way you're, to be just a slave and be told what to do. You are nothing but a 4-year-old in a preschool that's being ordered around, no matter what you think your status is, if you don't make the changes we need.
Well, it's interesting as we're beginning to discuss this event or series of events, and I'm trying to, get people to understand that this isn't just about one thing. It's about us, and it's about our rights, and it's about. I don't want to say demanding, because I want it to be a unified effort. I want it to be about making that change that just gives us the rights that we already deserve, without taking anything from anybody, unless they didn't deserve it, unless they have something that's ours that, they don't have a right to, then yeah, you're going to have to let that go. But at the end of the day, I think keeping the people from being able to exercise their rights, it gives the people that have the political power more power. And when we have the freedom and the right to express ourselves and to do the things that I believe that we have an inherent right to, that was identified by our founders way back when, I think it's a perceived attack on them. I don't think it is, though. I don't think it hurts anybody if let's just say this. Let's say that, like in Missouri, where they passed a law that said non-violent criminals are not getting locked up, or they're not getting treated the same way that the violent ones are. And
no bail, no right.
And it opened up a door for things like the cultivation of a plant, whatever plant it might be, to be not considered a crime where somebody gets locked up and held in bail. And let's say that it took off and became a federal thing, and they descheduled cannabis and everybody started growing it. I think that the only thing that might take away from would be people that are exercising power over other people, like pharma companies and maybe attorneys, or some politicians, or especially the prisons and the justice system, where they're actually making money off of locking people up for these nonviolent offenses. I think if we look at that as, okay, well, we're not attacking those people or those entities. All we're doing is trying to express the value of allowing everybody to have these rights that we're supposed to have. I think it will do more positive than whatever and whoever it hurts. And on that note, I want to let you guys know that tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, I'm going to be having a meeting with a major veterans rights organization, and I'm going to be discussing this event with them and getting their commitment to participate in it, and getting listening to them to get what this event could be, to make them feel that it's for them, because that's what this is all about. And then this weekend, I'm going to be up in Montana working with some Native American folks, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm working with the Southern Cheyenne people up there, and we're going to be working on, what can we do to make this event represent you and all of the Native peoples. And I'm going to be reaching out to leaders and organizations personally, and sharing this event as it's unfolding, and listening to what they need their message to be for this to work. And I think that as we're in the very beginning stages and really getting our message together, our goal and our target is in a week from today to have our press release that announces this event, having our message together, having our mission statement and our title of this event, to begin actually planning it. And I'm super excited. We've taken a month to kind of bring the idea together, and we have our first deadline, and we've got a great team of people, and it's a work in progress. It's going to be that way all the way to the end. But I think we're going to have our first milestone, hopefully by a week from today.
Yeah, listen, I want to thank everybody that's participated and taken the time. Everything always, like Alan said the other day, there's just so many things that get started, and like you said it yourself, so many things get started, and they start to seem like they're going to get some legs, but the ball never gets rolling. And let the ball roll, but it only rolls so far. Well, listen, this ball's got to roll a long way, folks, and it's going to take a lot of people and a lot of effort along the way, a lot of participation. This isn't a walk to see if me and Joe and anybody else that participates can make a walk from one side of the country to the other. It's not racist, something like that. This is actually being done for a real reason. We want to talk to people. We want to speak to people. We want people to join in to show that they have the same frustrations and want the same thing. It's very simple, folks. We get upset about little tiny things I see on Facebook all the time, and it's ridiculous. They're ridiculous things. But we have people that sit behind bars every day that may never see the light of the sunlight again, like you do, or breathe the air outside and get to walk around and do the things that you do. And we have to stop. We can't stop an exercise. They're fighting until each one of them is released. I mean, it's ridiculous. I came out of ShopRite grocery store just the other day, 2 days ago. It was yesterday for the T4 show. Right, that's right. And I'm walking out of the store, and I happen to realize, look in front of me, and it was a beautiful day, and the mountains were just green and rolling as the hills were going, And I'm looking at it, and then I look down, and I got my freelance lord shirt on, And I felt like such a piece of shit, for a minute. I mean, I literally had a horrible feeling that I really could just sit there and have the joy of the freedom of walking out of a grocery store, get smashed in the face with 95-degree weather, and looking at a beautiful sight. And I was like, my God, he can't even do that. These people can't even do that. And so I turned around, I took a selfie of it, and I sent it to his mother and said, hey, I'm just let him know I'm thinking about him right now, and I really feel bad.
Yeah, and that's, it was actually, about him and the campaign that's going on his behalf that I was talking to Craig about. just to, I just really want to hear what other people have to say, because I get hit with all kinds of different things, both positive and negative about this. And I just want to do the right thing. I just want to make sure that, the efforts that we make are considered to be the best ones that we could. And after hearing Craig, I feel exactly.
I mean, they're going through hell as it is. We don't want to add more help. But if we are helping, gosh, please, let's help as much as we can.
Exactly. Well, you got the Solidarity Over Separation chapter of the Human Solution International in New York. You got anything going on specific to your chapter right now?
Absolutely. We're representing. Every time we go out and speak, that's who we go out and speak as. We go out and speak as Canada and Solidarity. So when we go out, people always know our name, and it's always in the forefront. Business cards, it's on everything. Everything is covered.
I actually just received a referral this evening for Solidarity Over Separation that reached out to me from an interview that I did on a sanctuary.
Woo! Awesome.
Yeah, just arrested for 404 grand spots.
Jeez. Wow, that's horrible.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna see what we can do to help him. That's all.
He's pulled over.
Yeah, and listen, the best way I believe everybody can get involved and help right now, and the way that they can always be positive and have positive effects, is to go to www.thsintl.org. Look at the donation button, membership button, push it, and decide which one you want to do. Either make a small donation, a large donation, whatever you can afford. Become a 420 member, become a 630 member if you've got a family that wants to get involved. But people, we do good work, and we do this all for free. It's all volunteer. But we do have printed materials and such that we have to do. But everything's going for the good of these poor people that are sitting behind bars that need our help, and people that are facing charges like Glenn and Peggy. And to help them with court support. So please, guys, donate as you can. Get behind and support the walk. Listen to these radio shows. You got Candace on Monday. You got me on Tuesday. You got Joe on Wednesday. The repetitive pounding of us all speaking the same message and being spread is going to finally make our voices heard, and it's going to make this walk a huge success.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you bringing up the membership. And something that came to my attention is that since we set up the membership on the new site the way we did, anybody that signed up for a 420 membership in the last year, it only runs for a year. So if you're listening and you got a notice that said your PayPal profile has been expired or whatever, deactivated, all you got to do is just go back in and sign up again. I apologize. It has something to do with the way that that membership was set up, but it's set up as a monthly membership for 1 year. So many of us have just decided that we're just going to continue contributing every month, and it just automatically happens. But just be mindful if you get that notice from PayPal, just go back in, sign up again. You'll be signed up for another year. And, it's these little $4.20 a month, $6.30 a month for a whole family to be a member of a part of this organization. I don't want to sound like an NPR telethon. I just want to say that these little things, it's a friggin' cup of coffee. This cup of iced coffee costs the same as a month membership to this amazing organization. So we appreciate everybody that has done it. We appreciate everybody that's considering to do it. And just remember, the Human Solution is going to be one of the anchors of this amazing event that's going to begin in about a year from now. And it's going to be a defining moment in human history when we get this thing finished. And it's all happens because of the people that cared enough to participate, whether by donating their time, their treasure, their resources, their network, whatever it is. It's all because of the people that have come together to make it happen. We've never had any major corporate sponsorship. We've never had anybody that's dropped $1 million in our lap and said, go do something for me. it's all been grassroots. So, Pete, Helen, always a pleasure. How does somebody get a hold of you if they want to get involved in New York?
If they want to get involved with us, it's very easy. We have a website. It's www.cannawetalk42small.com. You can go to all of our Facebook pages. We have Canna We Talk opiate intervention or opiate addiction. We have Canna We Talk CBD. We have Canna We Talk Radio and TV. Listen, we're all over. We have Solidarity Over Separation. Please go to the page, man. We share there all the time. We're always available to come talk or to help anybody. So please know that. Reach out to me personally or at 845-522-3162 is my number. Please leave a message. I will get right back to you as quickly as I can. And guys, let's do this. Let's really keep strong. Let's keep the focus. Let's keep the excitement up. And let's make the changes and live the ones we want to see in this world.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Pete, Helen. We love you guys. And just, get yourself healthy because we got a lot of walking to do.
Damn Skippy.
All right, you guys. We'll talk real soon. All right. So here's the deal, folks. This show runs from 5 to 6 Pacific time. It's already 6 Pacific time. However, I pulled a little switcheroony on it this week, and I've got the ability to run another hour uninterrupted, and everybody can still call in. So we pulled a little behind the scenes trick, so we don't have to worry about people getting cut off, and we're gonna run until everybody gets the chance to say their piece. So we got Jennifer Hess who just called in. Jennifer is somebody that has been on the show for the last 3-4 weeks. She's a case that is just tugs on our heartstrings. She lost her husband due to the cannabis case, and her children are separated. And this is in Kansas, where it's a rough place if you want to try to find justice and you're fit into a box that they're not into. I've been there, I've seen it, and it can be brutal. So we're here to support Jennifer. She's been on the show. She's going to call in, hopefully, as this case progresses, and hopefully as we find the intended result that we're looking for. But just to know that we're here to support Jennifer and any of the defendants that call in. Initially the first guy that called, it was his first call, and we don't know much about the story, and I want to find out more. I think he dropped off before we got his contact information, but hopefully he'll call back in or find the site, and we'll be able to get that. But Jennifer is working with our Kansas chapter. Mike and Sarah are our chapter coordinators, and they're working with some amazing people. And, Jennifer, all I can say is you got a great team that's standing with you, and let's see what's going on right now. Jennifer, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
About the same as usual. It's just heart-wrenching being without my kids. I get to see them weekly for a few hours, and then I have to leave them behind and come to an empty house. And I have wonderful advocate friends who have been there for me, but there's just no support locally. It's just me on my own.
Well, I know we've got Mike. We got Mike and Sarah that are, there for you, and they're probably our closest folks that we have right now. But I think what's happening right now is the word is getting out about your story, and I think more and more people are coming around. The problem is, finding advocates that are right in your backyard, and it's depending on where you're standing, it sometimes is difficult. But what we found is that by broadcasting and reaching out to a bigger and bigger audience, people stand up, people hear it and go, wait a minute, I'm over by there, or I know some people over there. And I know it's hard. I fought the government for 6 years. I've been locked up. Fortunately, I didn't lose any loved ones, but I know what it's like to go through this. And it's brutal. And I I feel for you in a way that, you know, if you haven't gone through it, it's an empathy thing. But you do have people that have been through it that are there for you. And, you know, I want to get people standing right next to you. And that's part of what this is all about. But just realize that we are bringing people all from all across the country to be aware of your story and continuing this effort and keeping it going and getting louder and louder and continuing it and letting people hear your voice and hear your anguish. And I'm sorry that there is anguish in your voice, but there is. And so what we can do is to share that, and hopefully people will be touched by it enough to say, hey, wait a minute, we need to stand there right there with her physically as we can. And, you know, Sarah's on my other feed, and she's just letting you know right now that her phone is always there for you. If you need to talk, she's there. And you know, Sarah and Mike are truly big-hearted people, and they're willing to do what it takes to help. So please know that.
I sure do appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean,
anyways, my story's out now. There's an article in Freedom League. It's on social media. So hopefully it's getting a lot more exposure now.
yeah, I saw that. I just put that up on my public page. It's there right now as we're talking. And, you know, these are things that hopefully, you know, when I was fighting my case, that's one of the things I did is I got anybody that would listen, and I would tell my story, and I probably had, you know, dozens and dozens of articles that were written, and I interviewed on every radio show I could find, and I had some friendly shows that are kind of like this one where I would call in regularly and give updates, and it helped. It did help. When it came time that I was in court and we gathered people together, I had people come from all different avenues, all different things that we tried. And, you know, the key, Jennifer, is that you need to be your own biggest advocate. And when people see that you're willing to stand up, and even though you're dealing with this anguish and this, you know, desolate world that seems like there's nobody around you, that you're still standing up and you're going to keep standing up, it will draw people to you, and it makes a difference. So just know that what you're doing is having an effect. I can't be more adamant about that.
And Dolores says
I
she
hope
loves
so.
her. She
It's
can't
not an
do it.
easy thing for me to do. I'm really normally a very quiet, private person, but when it comes to injustice, I can't stay quiet. You know, especially after all this happened.
Good.
My pre-trial hearing is set for August 29th. Wait, no, that's the 27th, rather. And a child in need of care case is scheduled, the next hearing is scheduled for October 29th. And they're talking about getting my kids back to me maybe in December.
Do you have an advocate as far as the child custody is going? Is there somebody inside the system that you're working with, or are you just kind of out there trying to do it?
I'm just kind of out here trying to do it with my court-appointed attorney. I have the same attorney for both cases.
Okay. Well, you know, Dolores Halbin, that's been advocating for you. She's also a member of our organization, and she's a warrior. You've got some people.
That's great.
You have some people that are standing up with you right now that you may or may not know the magnitude of their hearts and their willingness to help, but you've got some mighty people that are standing up with you right now. So I just want, you know, hopefully you feel that these are some people that have stood up in the face of major adversity, and people that have the hearts of lions, and the people that I want standing up for me. That's the truth.
It's good to know there are people who care so much.
Well, I just want to make sure that you absolutely understand that, and that, you know, you're always welcome. I don't know if you've got, I think you have my personal number, but if you don't, let me give it to you.
Okay.
It's a 951 area code, and the number is 436. Yep.
Okay.
Dolores' phone is
Let me get my
working.
notes
That's
out.
why she's on.
951.
Yep, 436 63 6312 436 6312. And you know,
Calendar, court calendar.
we have a calendar that we need to get your event up there, and Mike and Sarah will help you with that. And just know that these two, Mike and Sarah, are so there for you guys. So just, you know, for you and your family and your kids, the whole deal, just know that you've got a team, and this team's getting stronger and more organized and more capable minute by minute.
Good to know.
All right. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for calling in, and just, you know, hold it together, stay strong, and just know that we're here with you. And, you know, I gave you my personal number that, you know, pick up the phone if you need to. Sarah says the same thing. I know Dolores says the same thing.
Yep.
And just, you know, you've got a team of people that it doesn't matter. You know, the human solution isn't just about standing up for people in court. It's about being there in their time of hardship. It's about, you know, when the human being is going through a rough patch, and trust me, like I said, I've been raided, I've been locked up, and I've been stuck in a cell by myself. It's being able to reach out and talk to somebody. That's that human experience. That's the thing that gives you that hope, that gives you the strength to carry on. And just know that you have these lifelines that are being handed out to you. So just, I hope you feel it.
And I thank you all for that.
Awesome. Okay, Jennifer. Well, continue to keep a good attitude, and that's the one thing they can't take from you. And let's think and work and come up with the very best plan as we're moving forward, and try to keep in contact with that attorney, and you know, let's get your case as solid and strong as we can. And you know what? Let's come out the other side better than we were.
Amen.
All right. Thank you so much. Jennifer Hess from Kansas, folks. And, you know, if you've read the story, if you have, if you're on social media, you know, please read the story, pay attention. And if you are anywhere near where she's at in Kansas, you know, reach out to Mike and Sarah. They're running our chapter out there. Reach out to Dolores. We've got a lot of people that are local that, you know, are local enough that are willing to help. And, you know, that's what this is all about. We need to stand together as a team. And, you know, that's it. These are real people that are dealing with real hardships that are almost undescribable. I don't know if anybody of you have ever lost a loved one, but to have lost a loved one because of the government coming in and locking you up for a crime that shouldn't be a crime, and to have your children taken from you for a crime that shouldn't be a crime, that is a heinous act, and it's incomprehensible. But that's what we're here to help, and we've been through it so many times, and lived with people that have gone through it and had it happen to us. And you know, it's standing together, being better than that, being stronger, and that's what's going to get us through it. So just remember, folks, that's what this is all about. All right, let's see. We got Glenn Keeling, then Dana Bland, then Tom Corby, I think, and Bob and Colleen. So let's go Glenn Keeling, then Dana, then Bobby, then Tom. And I think that will, we're already 15 minutes into overtime. All right. Now, Glenn and Peggy, also, you've probably seen their story on social network. Glenn has been on our show many, many times. Him and Peggy are not only chapter coordinators, but also board members like Pete and Helen, active in our leadership team. They're fighting a case, as you might know, and they're also advocating for others at the same time. The Creative Care Beacon chapter in Ohio exemplifies what this organization is all about, being a beacon to those in need. And so it's just always a privilege to talk to Glenn and Peggy, because these guys are also warriors, and they're fighting the fight, and they're also standing up and advocating for others. Glenn and Peggy, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, good evening, Joe. Good evening. We're hanging in there. We're doing what we can to stay strong for each other and to bring more to the organization as we can. I'm on tonight just to ask, Monday we do have a pre-trial hearing. Anybody that hears my voice that can make it, we're asking people to show up for court support at 1 o'clock. That's in Solano, Ohio, in Mercer County. Going on 2 years, and 21 months that we've been dealing with this case that we're medical patients, and it should have been over with a long time ago. And we asked for support because this case isn't just about us; it's about everybody that consumes cannabis and that wants to consume cannabis. It's just not right what they do. It's not the only. We're not the only ones going through this, and it's not the only state that deals with this. California's got locking people up left and right, and that's one of the most progressive cannabis states in the entire country. And you guys have just got it bad out there. Raids and people being locked up just as bad as anywhere else. And that's the legal state. You can go anywhere anytime. It's walking to
Legal, they say, yeah.
While we're all walking in the stores and getting the cannabis that we need, there's people serving life sentences for doing exactly the same thing that we're allowed, and I hate that word, but allowed to go into a store and buy. That's really sad.
Well, I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. It's brutal to watch what's happening in these so-called legal states, and people just don't understand that legal doesn't mean anybody or everybody can do it. In California, legal means that if you are able to navigate the bureaucratic nightmare of regulations and you've got the money and the influence to get your local support, then you get to do something that everybody else doesn't get to do. And everybody else is considered to be an illegal business or an illegal grow or an illegal operation, and they're a target. And California is aggressively going after these so-called illegal operations right now.
Hello? Hey, it's Pete. I just wanted to get on. I'm chiming in, and I'm glad, Glenn, that you're on. And I hung up and called back. I want to let you know, Helen and I will be there Monday. Solidarity, no separation. We'll be standing there with you guys, cans in hand.
Yay! Right on.
Really appreciate that. Thank you very much for doing that. That's awesome, Pete. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Not a problem, man. We all have to stand together. We love you guys. We've been there from the beginning with you guys, and we want to come because we can.
Well,
thank you. And that right there is exactly what it's about, people. It is, and Pete and Helen are in New York. We're in Ohio. They're coming a state and a half away. 9 hours. They're driving 9 hours to come and support us. That's phenomenal. That's awesome. And that right there is what this organization is about,
That's true.
Supporting one another, because again, this case is not just about Peggy and I, and it's just not about Pete and Ellen coming and joining us. And every cannabis case is about everyone that wants to consume this product. There's medicine. And there's no distinction between recreational and medical. It's all medicinal, whether you think it is or not. It's all medicinal. It's all medical, and people need to just realize that and get over the fact of trying to separate the two and say, recreational use here and it's adult use, but it should be adult use every fucking where, and we should not be allowed to be able to consume something. And Joe, you touched on something that's, absolutely ridiculous. The price that people have to pay to be medical patients. Peggy and I, this year alone, just to be medical patients here, between us, we've spent over $5,000 just to stay medical patients in a state like this. And that's ridiculous. medical patient of something that we should be allowed to grow ourselves.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. But I want to lay this down. If Pete and Helen are coming 9 hours away, if anybody is less than 9 hours away from Mercer County, Ohio, I don't know. Maybe you could come too. Maybe.
We'll pick you up.
Yeah. It's funny.
I got a bad fighter.
It's funny that.
Let's see, I can six other people besides the two of us. So along the way, if anybody wants to come, please, we're not joking. We'll gladly pick you up.
Yeah, and we've done that. We've done that over the years. I mean, I've caravaned I don't know how many people, and many times we've said, hey, we're going from here to there. Anybody between here and there will come get you. And we've driven a very full vehicle many times to court. So it's definitely a way to do it. And, we participate as we can. So, hopefully this doesn't end up going to trial. And if it does, you'll see my ass out there. And, it is what it is. I mean, I can't pledge to come out for every hearing, but if a jury's going to get seated, you can bet I'll be out there if I can. So, anyways, that's what this is about. And, Glenn and Peggy, just know that hopefully, most of the time it's in the 11th hour that all this stuff happens. Most of the time it's, right when, in my case, I was right at my trial readiness for my second trial when they finally gave up. And so, they put you through as much BS as they can, it seems. And that's just how it is.
All right, well, we're going to stay strong. I'm sorry, Glenn, go ahead. Yeah, we're going to stay strong and stay the course on this. And there's nothing here to prosecute us and keep doing this. It's malicious is absolutely what it is, just because they can, and the court system does that. And, everybody needs to understand and know that education is huge, and solidarity, standing together. If we stand together, the courts can't do this. They won't be allowed to do this.
Well,
that's why we named our chapter Solidarity Over Separation, because we understood that we can't do it, even just as our own chapter. We all have to be able to do this. Now, listen, I have the time to do it. It's the right thing to do. It's what we do in this organization. Hell, Glenn and Peggy come to visit us at our home as well. So, this is paying or repaying a favor, and at the same time, just doing the right thing. And me, I got a big mouth. If you don't think anybody's going to learn something while they're at that courthouse, or I'm in that area you're at, you don't know me.
It's so true. Well, Glenn, if anybody wants to participate or get involved anywhere near in the Ohio area, how do they get a hold of you to become a part of the Creative Care Beacon chapter of the Human Solution International?
Oh, it's real easy. My name is Glenn Keeling. You can find me on Facebook. My wife is Peggy Kimmel. And we do Creative Care Beacon, which is the Ohio chapter of the Human Solution. Or you can just simply give me a call. My phone number is 419-863-0498. If you don't call or reach out, there's no way for us to be able to help you or support you. And that's what this organization is all about, is support and solidarity, like Pete said.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And Pete, I'm stoked that you guys are able to come down there, and let's make the most of it. And hopefully we're going to get that answer that we're here to see, and let Peggy and Glenn be free. That's the key. All right, that's a lot of ease. All right, guys.
That's right. That's why we wanted to come on. Right. So we'll tell you, thanks for letting us on. Something while you're here, maybe we can all sit down and and do this round table ourselves and get Bobby involved with that too.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Well, just know we stand with you, and anybody who's willing to stand up for what's right, that's what we're all about. So thank you so much, Glenn and Peggy, and we will talk to you very soon.
Right on. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. All right. We got Dana Bland. Now, Dana and Suzanne just got their case resolved, and they're starting a new chapter. They're about to get their chapter charter, and Missouri is now represented officially with a chapter of the Human Solution International. Dana, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
We're doing okay. Yeah, I got a lot of information to give. First, the 17th, we're doing our kind of a victory party and barbecue on the 17th of August, which I found out was a big date for the Human Solutions and a lot of other things that's going on with cannabis. And also, I wanted to take and say we're in support of you, Jennifer, down there in Kansas. We can't get there right now, but yeah, I read your case and everything, and yeah, you were really done wrong. But what we did with the lawyers and actually the lawyer, the ADA, and the judge is we just threatened them through the whole way through as far as because we knew they had broken our rights and stuff. And my lawyer, that's why I took and said I wouldn't get publicity on him because he was doing a good job and he promised that he would do his job, and he did. And we had threats out to the ADA and the judge as far as breaking the rights. And in the end, it paid off. We weren't scared of them at all. And, they broke down and gave in. And, so much so that the ADA didn't even show up to the courtroom the last day we went in. And we're in association with several other groups in the area, and they're also watching the Human Solutions too. But our chapter is going to be called Hope for Change and the End of Prohibition. There's a lot of people that are in trouble. That it's happening everywhere, folks. If you don't think things are bad, same with Jennifer, her husband passing away, which is a very sad thing, is because when they throw you in jail, and it could happen to anyone. They don't just take and throw you in jail, and especially with sick people these days, they throw you in jail and take your medication away at the same time. And people that know anything about medications, most of these medications are deadly to take and stop cold turkey like that. And it could have been the end of me, but luckily the Lord saw me through it, and I was able to make it through and get it out of the jail. But yeah, people need to take and get involved, and everybody get solidarity and join together and get on there. And if you can't do anything else, take and get on Human Solutions and donate a few dollars, because every dollar counts to helping someone out there. And till we get this prohibition ended altogether, the fight's going to be on. And I can't wait till next year on that march, because I think it's going to be a big one.
It's going to be a big one, my friend. Well, Dana and Suzanne, you guys have just become a great part of our family, and I'm really excited to watch your chapter get started and get going. And I love the name, Hope for Change and End of Prohibition. You guys did a great job on that, and hopefully this week you'll be receiving your charter certificate. And, we're just going to build this beacon. So if somebody is in the Missouri area and has a case or they want to help, how do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of us on Facebook, or they can call us at 417-847-7974. And they can call that number pretty much any time.
Can you say that?
Because I'm 100% disabled with that, and I'm just dedicated in bringing this prohibition to an end.
Can you give that number one more time, just so that everybody gets a chance to write it down?
Okay, it'd be 417-847-7974.
Beautiful.
We're right down here in the west corner of Missouri.
Beautiful. Well, Dana and Suzanne, Hope for Change and End of Prohibition, chapter of the Human Solution in Missouri. Exciting to watch this blossom, and I'm just I'm proud to be standing with you guys. And who knows? There's a slim chance I might be able to get out there and share that victory party with you. I gotta see how close to an airport you are. We need to talk maybe tomorrow on the call.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got airports pretty close to here.
All right. Well. All right. Well, let's talk tomorrow on the call, and let's see how if we can make it happen. It's kind of it's going to be difficult, but if it's there's a chance I can do it. It'll be kind of a slip in, slip out thing, but I just want to meet you guys in person, just like all the rest of these guys that are just doing such a great job. It's we're a big team, and I just want to make sure that we're all standing together as good as we possibly can. And I think that's part of what makes it all happen.
Yeah, the other thing we're doing is we're making do with our promises, and we're seeing Friday. We're seeing a civil rights constitutional lawyer.
Oh, good.
Over there in Joplin, and taking our case and going after what they did.
Excellent.
Because it's just part of trying to stop this process of what's going on.
Absolutely. Being proactive is definitely the way when we get the opportunity. So awesome. I look forward to hearing as that progresses, and we're going to continue marching towards our freedom and liberty that we all so righteously deserve. All right, you guys, Dana,
we're with you, brother.
Dana and Suzanne, Hope and Change and the End of Prohibition, Missouri chapter of the Human Solution International. All right, up next we got Bob and Colleen. They're up in the northern part of California. Bobby just had a case up in Oregon where he got pulled over and harassed and attacked, and they dismissed his case yesterday. Tell me what's going on, Bobby.
Woo!
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great.
Yesterday was kind of like winning the Super Bowl without the other team showing up. Like it was a victory without, any victory. The cops didn't show up, so the judge just dismissed the case. Now I got to figure out, because I mean, literally I was beaten up by the police, and I'm going to file charges against him for assault, battery, and probably civil rights, whatever I got to do, or it might take years, but I'm going to do it.
Go, Bobby.
And the stuff I witnessed in the Jackson County Jail just wasn't right. I've seen people beaten in handcuffs. I mean, it was. I've been in. I did almost 15 years in prison, and 5 of that in segregated housing unit. And I've never seen violence like this in my life in county jail. It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
And that's up in Oregon where everybody's all cool and mellow.
Yeah, and then there was 4 strangulation cases before me.
Oof.
So there's a lot of violence going on in Medford, I guess. And the judge just dismissed it. And I developed something called cellulitis, which when I had to Google it and figure out what it was, it's a blood infection, which is caused from an injury being re-injured. And I had told the police officer this before he dragged me out of my car and everything. And I got septosis as well now, I guess. I think I got a perforation in my intestine that's causing that.
Yeah.
And I know the cellulitis is definitely due to them, but I don't know about the septosis. I might have had this leak for a while. But we'll see where it goes.
Well, the good news is
be out of incarceration today.
What's that?
Go ahead, Joe. I said I'm happy to be free today.
Yes, as am I. Above ground breathing and currently out of custody.
Yeah, I have a friend that's actually Frank Canan's cousin. He's currently doing a 10-year sentence. And I want to give his name out there and his DOC number in case anybody maybe wanted to write him a letter or something. So I know how it is inside that place. He's doing 10 years for trafficking. And his name is William Joseph Gerhardt.
GERHARDT. His DOC number is 115971. And he's at the Booneville Correctional Center, 1216 East Morgan Street in, I believe it's Missouri, Kansas City area. 660 is the phone number, 882-6521. He's another victim of the war, and God bless him. I'm still waiting. They have 3 years to file on me, Joe, for the psilocybin they claim they found, but I think they were shiitake. I'm not sure. So, they've got 3 years to file that on me, but now they had never had no probable cause to stop me, and so I think the best thing I can do at this point is file charges against them, because what I did was perfectly peaceful and they were violent and they hurt me. And here's a really sad shocker, guys. I went to high school with a guy. We were friends back in 1993, and he shot another one over at my friends in the face 5 times, killed him. This kid's parents still cry today. And on the 24th of June, this guy was released, and he's out of prison. He had a 42-year sentence. He was out after half of that. This time at Michigan City Correctional Facility in Indiana. He's out of prison now, and most likely he's going to kill somebody again. And we have all these nonviolent drug offenders locked up, and they're letting out murderers, rapists, and child molesters every day. And it just keeps happening. It sickens me.
I hear you. It sickens me as well, and that's why we're on the mission that we are. And Craig Cecil says that all the time. He says, "I wish they would just treat me like a violent person, because they get out early, and we are stuck in here without possibility of parole." So, remember this as we're asking for changes to be made. These little laws that we're passing and going around putting our efforts into. Generally, they don't affect these people that are already facing these life sentences, these long mandatory minimums, and they generally don't have anything to do with those types of criminal justice reform, but they need to. Just remember, folks, there's a lot of work to be done. Celebrate as you can with these little victories. They're great, but meanwhile, we got to keep our eye on the prize, and the prize is all about liberty. And that freedom and liberty that we all are entitled to as bestowed upon us by our Creator. All right, Bobby, Colleen, always a pleasure to hear from you, and I'm glad to hear the good news. And if you missed out on that information about the inmate, all of these shows are archived. The YouTube channel, it's recorded. The Facebook live feed is recorded, and the radio feed on the phone is also recorded. So you have 3 opportunities to catch an archive and go back and rewind it and hear it. So thank you so much for calling in. I'll talk to you guys soon.
God bless you and all the other partners out there. I'm looking forward to the NorCal report with Tom Corby and the rest of them there. God bless Tom and Donna.
Awesome.
Soon, buddy.
Well, that's where we're at right now, the NorCal report. To wrap up the show, we got the lion of the man, Tom Corby from NorCal, and here to give us the local report. Tom, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I want to thank you, Joe, and congratulations to Bobby and Colleen. That's what we do. We stand our ground and take them on. We always take them to trial. We make the whole plea deal. Well, like I said, we help winning these cases to getting these acquitals, like with Frank Canan here with me today.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for that, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you back.
Yeah. Give me a shout after the show. I need to talk to you.
Sure will.
Make the show 2 hours, Joe.
You know what? I always make room for everybody that has something to say. And we had a lot of people that had stuff to say today.
Oh, there you go. So now we not only always take them to trial,
and not only file that 995 dismiss probable cause motion, subpoena all the good guys and bad guys, but we always saw an injunction and a lawsuit at him was Bobby did. That's what they have ears to hear. And they know they're coming. We're coming with lawsuits. They stand to attention. And that's how we win our cases. So take Bobby and Coley again. And I wish him well. That's our really good friend and advocate, Dee Kirkwood, down there in Hollywood. So thankful she carried on with Michael Thompson when we first carried the ball, Senator Joe, and thank Dee for carry on. We have some what I feel good news. Here's your message. Hi, Tom. I just wanted to be fair with you that Nico, it's actually Michael Nico Thompson. He's in the musical industry and up there in Michigan. He put in a motion to a new judge and replaced the old judge that sentenced him. And she, I like that, she has the date August 29th at 1 o'clock to reveal her decision about Michael's motion on clemency. I would have still had positive, nice time in these courtrooms. I really feel that the lady judges are more lenient. Case in mind is there at Floreto's. If you remember, Joe, when we went for his trial, Michael Edmondson, he had a man judge that was hanging him, as Michael Thompson does, and he's also prejudiced and he's bigoted. So Eric Florето gets a lady judge, guess what? His case was dismissed. So I felt very positive that he's got a new judge that should want to listen because we know this is the third time that we filed claims. He did this. She goes on to say the time before, but was immediately denied. I have the paperwork here where they denied it. So they just find very positive responses from this new judge. His rights and walking out the door, freedom, a free man. So that's what we do at the Human Solution International. I go on vision always at the end of prohibition. Legalization is just more laws and regulations that screw us mom and pop growers. We must have prohibition for all POWs. And I want to thank everybody today, all those on the front lines, coming together, damn prohibition. Frank just pointed out right here, I got a letter back from last quarter. We sent him a letter. These letters to prisoners mean a lot. Sometimes it helps them get through in there. When we sent this letter, Frank said some, Nick Moran, Donna, we all said some in support of last quarter. We have a return letter from him here. If Frank wants to open it, you can read it if you want. And this is a heartfelt. Yeah, this is all the Lord you need. So, Dad said, hey, my brother, I just received your letter in the mail. Already you had with the address envelope in your first attempt and second, by the way. And folks, that was actually my misdoing. If I send everything in white paper, you can't use stickers for return envelopes. So they were justified in sending that back. They are a little strict with last floor. Tracy will tell you. I just want to make sure you are aware how much I appreciate you and your wife's unconditional support. It really means a lot to me and my family. I hope all is well and good with you and yours on the end. And I want to thank I want to thank Frank and also Daria that was here, Don, for all your love and support for Don and I also. Nothing much new on my end to report.
I am hoping President Trump grants me my clemency request soon, and that Congress or President ends this madness for all of us and schedules cannabis and or legalize medical MJ and also recreation MJ. Well, again, legalization is just more laws and regulations. We want to deschedule cannabis. It should be a no schedule. I feel that common sooner than later, my friend, and all of the plant prisoners can be released finally. Also, please thank the people who included those for Gary, Nick Rand, Liz, and one Jim, one day, much love and respect. Last floor. He says sorry for the sloppy. We only get time left to pass. Right with this one of the most well-written letters I've had for many prisoners. Yeah, I sent you all to jail. Well, some behind coming together in prohibition. No one should go to jail for our plant. And don't forget the blues. Let's bring in Billy.
All right. Thank you, Tom. And we will see you all next week.
I am Willie Nelson, and the Willie Nelson Teapot Party and I endorse the human solution, supporting cannabis prisoners because no one should go to jail for a plant. You were always on my mind. You're always on my mind.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Phew! It only froze one time.